Life isn't fair. How often have you heard that or even said that? Well, most of the times when I hear it or say it, the focus is on receiving something bad that I don't think I deserve. But what about the opposite? Hey, it's Steve again with Looking Intently. I'm still going through the book of James, and so if there's any videos you need to catch up on, you can click this tag in the upper right, and to make sure you don't miss any, click the subscribe button and then that bell icon in the lower right. And if you like the videos, then when it's over, click the thumbs up, leave a comment, share it on Facebook. That is super helpful. James chapter 5, the second part of verse 11, he says, "You have heard of the steadfastness of Job." Well, I'm guessing we've heard of Job, but just a little refresher. Job was someone who lived a long time ago, might be the oldest book in the Bible. And Job was blessed by God in that common sense use of the word. He had abundant wealth, he had good health, he had a large family, sons and daughters, all of that. But if you remember the story, Satan comes to God and looks down and says, hey, Job's only faithful because he has all of those blessings, those good things. And God allows Satan to test Job by taking away those things to see why is he truly faithful to God. And when we see he's faithful to God, not because of those things, that he still remains faithful. As James says, he remains steadfast. And steadfast is similar to patience, that humble contentment. Although we see that James does have a little issue with the humility there, at least in the middle, until God has something to say. You remember, after all these things happened to him, 3 friends of Job, if you can call him that, come and basically say, hey, you must have done something wrong, and now God's punishing you. You deserve this. And Job insists, I didn't do anything wrong. But he goes a little too far when he says, so I don't deserve this. And God eventually answers Job in chapter 38. It says, then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, who is it that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? You don't know what you're talking about, Job. Dress for action like a man. I will question you, and you make it known to me. See if you can answer my questions. And then God asks, where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. And what God is talking about is this idea of what you deserve, Job. What do we deserve as people, as Christians? What do we deserve? Just in life, we certainly know that because of our sin, we deserve, eternal separation from God, and we receive salvation through His grace. But as we're going through this life, what do we deserve? Are there things that happen in life that are unfair? I think certainly, by a common definition of that, if unfair means I didn't do something specifically that led to this. In other words, I suffer an accident that wasn't my fault, or some natural disaster or violence or some health issue that, again, I didn't do something. I didn't, get cancer because I smoked. There are unfair things that happen. In a sense, we don't deserve those. But the big picture way to look at that is to realize unfair things happen in life to everyone. Why should I think I don't deserve those any more than someone else? None of us deserve it in one sense, so all of us deserve it in the other sense. Unfair things happen in life. I'm in life. I can't look at that and say, I don't deserve to have unfair things happen to me versus you. You do deserve it. No, and realizing that takes what we've talked about so often. It takes that humble perspective, humility. God is God. I'm not. Well, James goes on as he talks about Job. He says, you've heard of the steadfastness of Job, and you've seen the purpose of the Lord. What's he talking about there? Well, the reason God allowed this to happen, allowed Satan to test him like this. And the purpose is how the Lord is compassionate and merciful. Now, how do you get that from Satan taking away these things, God allowing that to happen? How is that God's compassion and mercy? Well, that's not what it's talking about. What it's talking about is the fact that God's compassion and mercy is the reason Job had all those physical blessings in the first place. His wealth, his health, his family, he didn't deserve those things. God was compassionate and gave him those. God was merciful and didn't give him, what he deserved as punishment. That's why Job had those. That's why we receive the good things we receive. It's God's compassion and His mercy. And so that goes back to, how often do I think about the good things that happen that I don't deserve? How often when I think life's unfair, am I talking about the fact I shouldn't have all the good that I have? And how would that impact my perspective, my attitude, if I viewed life that way? And then what will I do, or maybe stop doing, to start viewing life that way, to view it more that way? Because it will impact us in a great way. And so what do I need to do? Well, as always, one of the first answers is read the good book like a good book.